Hey guys, thanks for joining us again. Today's miracle that Jesus performed during his ministry is found in Luke. We're going to go to Luke 14. Now, we've got a few in a row that's Luke mentions. I think three in a row that only Luke mentions. And then the one like two or three ago was in Luke and Matthew. And this one's really short. I think this is another one that we probably read over and are like, he healed another person, and we keep reading. But the more I've been digging into it, the more I love it. And Jesus healing the person with dropsy. I'm not familiar with that word. I should probably look it up before I pronounce it on here. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to call it dropsy. So if it's pronounced another way, I'm sorry. And probably it was pronounced way different back in the day. Anyway, we're starting at the beginning of 14, Luke chapter 14. This is awesome. Might be my favorite miracle now. I love it. And it came to pass, as he went into the house of one of the chief Pharisees to eat bread on the Sabbath day, that they watched him. So one of the chief Pharisees, one of the highest ranking members of the church, on a Sabbath, invited Jesus to eat at his house, which is really cool. It seems like it would be a huge blessing, but the Pharisees have been out to get him for a long time, so I don't know if a lot of the background, if Jesus is just eating there to appease him, if they're actually bringing him there because they're curious about if what they've heard about Jesus is true, or if they really want to meet him, or if they want to see a miracle. I don't know. Anyway, and there was a certain man before him which had the dropsy. And I saw this and I was like, dropsy? She hasn't had an album forever. And I think I'm thinking of something else, actually. So I don't think dropsy has had an album for a while, because there's probably not a band called dropsy. So I think that's something else I was getting confused with. But I had no idea what dropsy was, and I had to look it up. But we'll get there in a second. So someone there was sick. And now, I don't know if this was just another Pharisee, or one of this person's family, or a child, or a spouse, or a parent, or who knows what. I don't know how this person was there, or even if they brought this person there as like a trap for Jesus on the Sabbath. I don't know. So there was someone that needed healing before Jesus. And Jesus answering spake unto the lawyers and Pharisees, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? So now we know that there's multiple lawyers, there's multiple Pharisees. It's almost like he's been called into court to testify by his actions. So you got the chief Pharisee, you got a bunch of other Pharisees, you've got lawyers, you've got, nothing against the Pharisees and lawyers today. You're great people. But these people were all brought there, and it seems like he was just brought here as a trap. They're going to try and trap Jesus. And I could see, like, I'm the chief Pharisee, and I'm really smart. So let's bring Jesus in here, and we'll have a sick person before him. We'll see what he does. It's the Sabbath, and we know he can't heal, and we're going to catch him. So someone is ill before Jesus, and Jesus says, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? To the Pharisees, the chief Pharisee, and the lawyers that are there. And I picture this Pharisee's house and the people around him and the people watching Jesus like being in court. But he's going to prove whether he's innocent or guilty right now by his actions. Like, this is going down. Everyone can witness what he does by his actions. And even though they have all these lawyers, Pharisees, and the chief Pharisee, when Jesus asked that, and they held their peace, like, don't look at me. I don't know. I used to know, but I know what's going to happen if I answer, and I'm going to look like a moron. So I'm not answering. And they held their peace. So Jesus, after asking this, And I can almost see it's almost in a way like asking their permission. Like, is it okay if I do this? And they don't say anything. So Jesus um, took the sick person, took the person with dropsy, and healed him and let him go. Okay. So we've been looking at the different miracles, and I think this is like 30 or early 30s. So we've done a whole bunch of miracles, right? And every time we've looked at what the sick person did, what did Jesus do, what did other people do, how was the person healed, was he touched, was it by Jesus' word, whatever. So we keep looking at this, and we don't have very much information here. It says, and he took him, Jesus took the person with dropsy and healed him and let him go. And that's it. That's all we know. So he took him, healed him, let him go, gave him a hug, held him, touched his eyes, who knows, heart, I don't know. But whatever Jesus did, and it sounds like it was very quick, he healed him and let him go. And that's it. That's all we know. So it does look like there was physical contact. He was healed immediately, as we're always healed immediately in here, and he let him go. And then Jesus started to talk to the lawyers and the Pharisees and the chief Pharisee about the Sabbath, and kind of took them to school, which is beautiful to go into the what I feel like was probably a trap. And he goes in there, heals someone in front of. He asks them if it's okay to do. They don't answer. He does it. And before they say anything, he starts asking them about the Sabbath day. And I really like the back and forth here. And the back and forth in this miracle, and I think the previous two miracles we talked about in Luke, I personally believe that Luke included for the lessons that happen after the miracle, the lessons that happen regarding the Sabbath and the demon. Can the devil cast himself out or whatever? I think those seem like the real reasons, because the miracles are so briefly mentioned. And like this healing is it's one sentence. And he took him and healed him and let him go. And then we have a semicolon, then it keeps going. So it's like half a sentence. Half a sentence is this miracle, but the whole story goes on for several more verses. I want to focus on dropsy person here, which again, I didn't know what it was, and I had to look it up. And I used to be sort of familiar with medical stuff. I used to be a paramedic, but it's been a while, and I think I've forgotten most everything. So I had to ask the internet machine what dropsy is, and dropsy is edema or swelling, which I found very interesting. So I was like, but it seems like they're fairly progressed. So they have this bad swelling. So I can picture this person, their arms and their legs are probably like swollen, and I know in my old job, I saw a lot of people with heart failure or kidney failure, and they would have edema, and the fluid would go into their arms and legs, especially their legs and feet. Legs and feet get really big, and the person is like kind of bogged down with so much fluid, and the heart isn't able to keep up, so that there's a lot of fluid on the person. So I started picturing this person that Jesus is healing as sort of similar to our last miracle, where the person was bent over and kyphosis kind of thing, couldn't look up. This time, the person with edema was so advanced, it sounds like, that they couldn't really function. So this advanced edema, I can picture this person being weighed down, kind of like, I don't know, if you picture like a boat, if you've ever been in like a little canoe or something, or a boat, hopefully most of my experiences haven't been in a large boat having a lot of water taken on, and hopefully you haven't had that experience, because that's not good. But if you had like a little canoe or something, or kayak that gets too much water, inside, that's kind of what I picture with this person with edema. Like they're trying to function, but they're like weighed down. And I think on our last miracle, we talked about the person almost like having like a wet blanket on them. Like they're just like the burdens. They can't function. This is in very similar, I believe, in that this person is also weighed down. They have too much fluid in their extremities. Heart's not keeping up. Kidneys aren't keeping up. Liver, whatever. And this person's also functioning like they're weighed down. Like they're weighed down with the weight of the world. They have so much weight and they're bogged down to the point where they cannot function anymore. So, and there's a few reasons why this could have happened. I like thinking that a lot of times I've seen it. A lot of times it's been the kidney, but I think a lot of times it's also the heart failure. Chronic heart failure is something I saw a lot where people's heart wasn't keeping up. So just the edema itself, I think that there's the easy comparison with someone in life. Like you have the weight of the world, you have so much going on that you just can't function. Like you can somewhat, but you're like, it's so much effort to do the tiny bit of what you used to be able to do, so much effort to do anything. This person probably used to be able to run to go fishing, and now it might literally kill them if they made the trip to go fishing. So there are definitely those burdens on there. Sticking with the heart failure, I think this is interesting because Jesus healed this person. So he healed the edema, he healed the swelling, but to heal the swelling, you don't just heal the swelling. It's not like the fluid just disappeared. And maybe it did. Maybe the fluid just disappeared. But the problem isn't the fluid. The problem is the heart, right? The problem is right here. The problem isn't in your ankles. The problem is in your heart. So, you've got the 4 quadrants of your heart. The left one is a big, like if you saw a heart, the left ventricle is a big chunk of that. And that pumps out to the body, right? When the left ventricle becomes weak or stiff or part of it's dead or not functioning or whatever, like it can't function. So the part of the heart that pumps out to the body is weak for some reason. It can't function. So since it's not pumping blood out to the body, then blood backs out into your lungs. So you got your lungs where the oxygen blood exchange happens, and the blood unloads all the trash and picks up oxygen and goes to the left ventricle to be shipped out to the body. Really freaking fascinating process. So now, since the left ventricle is not working, pumping blood to the body, it backs up into the lungs. So then the person has excess fluid in their lungs, and you can hear it. These are my stethoscope there. This is a stethoscope, but you can hear it. If you hear a lot of fluid in there, it's because it's in the lungs. Fluid is in the lungs generally because the heart's not working. Not because the lungs are crap. It's because the heart isn't working. So it backs up into the lungs. Since it can't go to the lungs and the lungs aren't working, the person isn't transferring oxygen very well. So then they get very low on oxygen. They can't breathe very well. They live their whole life on very low oxygen. They can't think clearly. They get super weak, super sick. They can't lay down flat. They have to lay down sitting up or straight up even on bad cases. From there, it backs up into the right side of the heart. So fluid is backing up from the left side to the lungs to the right side of the heart. Now, all the blood comes from your whole body and comes into the right side of your heart to go to the lungs. So when it's backing up into the right side of the heart, if the right side of the heart isn't keeping up, then it backs up into your body, into your ankles, into your arms or whatever. So if you have big swelling in your ankles and feet and legs, that's because it's been backing up from the right side of your heart. So a lot of this is because your right side of the heart can't push it out. There's too much in front of it and it can't push it out. It wants to push the blood out, but it can't because there's stuff in the way. So if Jesus healed the person with edema, he would have healed the heart. If the person had a functioning heart that worked correctly, that was healed, the edema would take care of itself. We would be able to pump that blood accurately. We'd be able to get it to the kidneys. We'd be able to get it out of our body correctly. We'd get it to the lungs correctly. Everything happens when the heart gets healed. Or kidneys, depending on what's going on. But I'm sticking with the heart metaphor because that's probably, in my experience, 2,000 years later in my ambulance, that's that's what it was. It would be the heart thing. So for Jesus to heal the swelling, to heal the dropsy, he didn't heal the dropsy. He'd heal the heart because the heart was the problem. The dropsy was something else. The dropsy was something that happened because of that main problem. And yeah, the edema is not good. We don't want that. But I also think of like the check engine light in your car. Like I've had this way too many times in the last month where I'm driving my car and a check engine light comes on, or different ones come on, or different ones start flashing. That's really bad when they start flashing. Anyway, so your leg swelling up, that's not fun. That's not comfortable. But that's not the big problem. The big problem is the heart isn't working. So it's almost like a check engine light for your heart. Your heart isn't working. Your heart needs to be fixed, which is why you have the swelling there. And I love that. I love that the weak heart is what Jesus would have fixed on this person. Yes, he healed the edema. How did he heal that? Did the swelling just go away? If it did just go away, it would have come back without the heart being healed. So Jesus would have had to have healed the heart. And I really love the imagery, and this is why I think it's my favorite miracle, is that the heart being weak is what caused this. And Jesus healed that weak heart. And sometimes, in this case, the heart was so weak, and we're talking about the lungs. The lungs want to get blood back to the heart, but there's so much stuff in front of it that they can't. The right side of your heart wants to pump to the lungs, but there's so much stuff in front of it, it's already full. Like they can't push against those full vessels in there, and it backs up. And I think sometimes so much that's what makes our heart weak spiritually in life, is that we do have a weak heart. We have so much stuff that our heart is pushing against. It is so difficult for us to forgive. We have so much stuff we need to forgive other people of, and our heart's too weak and we can't do it. And we can't love because we have so much stuff going on in our life. And when we can't overcome the obstacles for our spiritual hearts of forgiving ourselves, repenting, loving other people, then that starts to back up, and that weak heart backs up. And you don't see edema in people's legs when they have a spiritually weak heart. It affects you otherwise. But you're going to feel it. And if you're watching and learning about Jesus, you've probably suffered a lot of that spiritually devastating things in life that have caused you to see Jesus to be healed. And I love in this case that Jesus would have healed the heart from being weak, so that it can take care of the actual problem. Spiritually, same thing. We need to heal that weak heart, whether it's the love, whether it's forgiveness, whatever your heart is pushing against that is causing it to back up, that it's causing it not to function correctly. That's where Jesus can heal us. If you are struggling with that love and healing and forgiveness, ask him. That's what he does. He lived and died so that he could do these things, not just for this person with dropsy, but for you. Ask him. Seek help.